what's the opposition up to? Rahul Gandhi's put out a video. It's the pooky video. He's with a bunch of Gen Z voters, very young voters, talking to them. They're talking to him. They seem to be having a good time. I'll show you a clip of that video. And then Tehseen Poonawalla, from what we're gathering, it's possible that Rahul's gone abroad again. Just see that pooky video. It's a fun video. But the question is, if a leader who's been in power for 20 years cannot be ousted by the young guns, the supposed young guns, Tejaswi and Rahul Gandhi together, then when are they ever going to be able to win an election? It's a very, very serious question.
I think it's a serious question, and I think the opposition parties will have to reflect upon it. I mean, it's all nice that we have these YouTube videos, Pooky and all of that, but is Pooky helping us win Bihar?
What is Pooky?
I don't know. What is Pooky? I don't know what is Pooky.
Let's just see the video for a moment.
Did you just fall short?
You can call me whatever you want.
Sir?
Why are you calling me sir anyway? You said we'll choose a name for you, and now you chose such a boring name, sir. Call me something fun. Bro is cool. Bro is cool. Okay, call me bro then.
We are Gen Zs. I'll give you a few words, sir. You need to tell me the meaning
Now
of
I'm
the
in
Gen
trouble.
Z slang. Like
Now I'm in trouble.
Cap.
Cap.
Yes.
I'm Pooky.
Riz.
What?
Riz.
R-I-Z. You have a lot of riz.
Okay, Shubhrashtra has cracked it. She knows what Pooky is. Shubhrashtra, what is Pooky?
Cute.
Cute.
I hope I got it right.
Rashtra is Gen Z.
Pooky is a term of endearment used to describe someone or something that is cute and loved, often as the nickname for a partner, friend, or pet.
This is Google Mata telling you this.
This is AI. This is
AI
contribution to this.
Chat GPT. He's Chat
Not your favorite.
This is Google Chrome.
No, did you Google it or did you chat GPT?
It's on Gemini.
Oh,
it's on the AI tool of Google.
But it's a nice thing that our leader is seen as relatable, cute. But then that's not enough.
No, but in a political context, as they say in Bihar, Veer Sangvi, ye kya hi chal raha hai? There's a real election happening. For a long time, Rahul Gandhi was missing during this campaign, and now if this is the way the numbers look, Tejaswi and Rahul Gandhi just come out looking very shabby.
There's a sense in which Rahul felt, I think, he was unhappy with the terms of the alliance. He was not that invested in Bihar. Otherwise, you can't explain his behavior. This kind of video won't necessarily work in Bihar, but it helps build his national brand as this cute guy who gets on well with young people, which I think is ultimately going to be his constituency. I suspect throughout, he was looking beyond Bihar at the larger national picture.
But there's one second. I don't agree with you, Veer Sangvi. There's a match going on now. You're saying, I don't like the field setting for this match, so I won't bat in this match. I'll do net practice for some match in the future.
Yeah, but he may score a century in the match of the future, I think is the argument. I'm not defending him, I'm only telling you what the argument is.
Rahul, we are going into various analysis of these numbers, provided,
of course,
I'm presuming they are correct. I think there may be a simpler explanation.
Which is?
In 2020, Chirag Paswan and LJP contested mainly against JDU. We all know why. And if I'm not mistaken, hurt the JDU in 25 seats. If the three parties now come together into a pragmatic coalition, that makes all the difference. It becomes a formidable arithmetic to defeat.
No, but of course, but that's where Kanchan Gupta, the opposition's task is to find some solution to break through. They can't say the opposition team is very strong and therefore we won't fight.
No, but you can't really contest an election without having a sense of what the local, cultural, social, political context is all about. Now, Rahul Gandhi goes on a fishing trip with the Mallas. Now, your polls, if the poll, as Ashok says, provided the numbers hold, where is the Malla vote, which was supposed to sort of be the booster rocket? So you get trapped into doing things.
No, but at least he tried to get the Malla vote. He's trying to do more than MY. That's the effort he made.
Rahul, parties exist to win elections, not experiment with elections.
Rahul,
so it's not a charity house that you are running.
No, but what point? One second, Tehseen, what point do these cute videos serve? What's really going on here?
Can I just be brutally honest? And I really want the Congress to win. It's 15 years we are not in government. Right? I've hit my 40s. I do visualize myself someday being in parliament, right? In the next 2029, Rahul will be almost 60. it's all cute, but we have to win elections. If we believe genuinely the constitution is danger, you media guys are bad, everything has to change, we have to make the country Hakuna Matata, and we have to get utopia in India, we need to be in power. And there is no other alternative. And for that, we need to be hardcore. We cannot start an election, have a tempo, go away, then come back, then go away. We have to keep fighting. And there is no other way. You have to get up every morning and say, what do I do to think like Modi and defeat Modi? That is just the way politics
like
is
Modi,
done.
I have a theory. The people who, just one line, the people who understand Pooky care more about the New York mayor election than the Bihar election.
No, that's true. Did you know Pooky before this?
I had to rely on Chetan Bhagat, the kind of person who uses Pooky.
Rahul, a very serious statistical point. With about 8% of the votes, the Congress has bargained for almost a quarter of the assembly in the alliance, 61 on 243 seats. Now, there are other parties in the past which got much smaller shares in alliance, like the BSP in UP, like the BJP in Maharashtra, yet they put up a much more valiant fight. The question, therefore, is why is Mr. Rahul Gandhi not putting up that valiant fight?
Why is he not doing it?
That's for all to
One guy who fought, I don't know how it's going to end, is Prashant Kishor. You can't take away the fact that he fought. Okay? He was out there in every single way fighting. I've got Saurabh Singh, national spokesperson of the Jan Swaraj party. Saurabh, welcome. The post-poll studies don't seem very favorable towards the Jan Swaraj. It starts at 0 and ends at 5. Nobody's saying any more than 5. Prashant Kishor told me Arsh ya Farsh. It seems more likely the floor than the ceiling.
Okay, good evening, Rahulji. First of all, Bihar is not easy to crack for anyone. For that matter, I'll give you 3 reasons why this exorbitant number will surprise everyone on 40th. The first is, if you see last election and this one, there is an increase of around 13% in youth participation. Last time it was around 58%, this time it's 71%. I'm talking about the first phase. Second phase number, we've not been able to, calculate. Second, the most important is this time around, in last 15 to 20 years, Bihar has never seen election in and around Chhath Puja. Around 50 to 55 lakh migrant people had come to Bihar. Generally, they were bound to return because it was linked to their, jobs and everything. This time around, they stick inside the Bihar. And our estimate is around 40 lakh people have voted additionally. And these numbers will reflect you both in terms of women voter and the person who's earning, the food for the home. So he's the big influencer. Third, and the most important thing, you are calculating 1.41 crore women who've got 10,000. You've missed the 2.1 crore women who haven't got this 10,000 rupees. And I'll tell you once again.
But that's not really how it played out. We'd gone into some farms in Purnia, spoken to women. 8 out of 12 women, Ajiji, you were with us, had got the 10,000 rupees. The others weren't resentful. They actually felt, inko mil gaya, hame bhi mil jayega. It's only a matter of time.
Yes, Rahulji. And
do you think GVL Narasimha Rao, that was the game changer? Because if it was, then I can guarantee to you that if you pay 10,000 in Bihar, you'll have to pay more in Assam. You'll have to pay more before every election, because then that unfortunately becomes the standard expectation of the voters, that you have to cash do, vote low.
Rahul, the way this may have added a little more edge to the BJP or the NDA, I won't deny that. But this was a significant factor or a major factor? No, I would disagree, because women vote was always more favorable towards the NDA and the BJP. They certainly have a huge tilt towards both Chief CM Nitish Kumar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So this may have been, and this is not a what has been promised is up to 2 lakhs. This amount will increase. This will be a sort of a loan that they will have to repay. This is some kind of a self-employment enterprise. What else do you want? How do you expect actually Bihar to grow? I think this is the best thing that can ever happen to Bihar. When all these people start their micro enterprise.
Spinning it very well, but it's basically 10,000 rupees in the account.
Rahul, please, on the migrants thing. You know, what is a very close example? West Bengal has never witnessed such huge migration out of the state of the working age population. Mamata Banerjee made this grand announcement, come back to the state, I will give you 5,000 rupees each of you per month. Now NDTV reports this, okay, I'll just read it out, and it's from the NDTV. We are giving rupees 5,000 to Mamata Banerjee. You should immediately run away from Bengal. Every migrant worker earns 50,000 to rupees 1.5 lakhs per month. Now that is also true for the migrant workers from Bihar. They are they are not.
You
they are
assume that migrants are always laborers.
Or every migrant is not a rickshaw puller or a rickshaw driver.
No,
of course not.
There are engineers, there are people in the service industry, there are people who work in hotels, in restaurants, everywhere. Now they are not going to crib that.
Okay, Ajit Jha has a question for Saurabh Singh. Go on.
So, Saurabh Singh, not only did the Jan Swaraj proved to be a disaster in this election. The fact that Prashant Kishor went to town saying that Nitish will never get more than 25 seats. What we are looking at is a wave for Nitish Kumar. And he kept saying, if he gets more than 25 seats, I'll give up politics. That's a typical Prashant Kishor style. Now, will he give up politics if the exit polls are right?
So I'll tell you what, let's wait for the 14th, and we are still holding to that. First of all, you are saying that Prashant Kishor, everybody is fortunately or unfortunately fighting on the same pitch where Prashant was working in last 3 years. Now, Amit Shah ji had to talk about flood and 25 sugar mills after the first stage of election. Have you forgotten that? And we are the one, for the first time in Bihar is not fighting on the basis of Agda Pichda and Hindu Muslim. This is the contribution of Jan Swaraj and Prashant Kishor.
It matters only to a certain extent who sets the agenda. What matters is who wins the match. I want to go across to Shahnawaz Hussain, senior leader of the BJP. Shahnawaz Saab, welcome to NDTV. सेकेंड फेज की पोलिंग के बाद आपको अलग अलग जगहों से जहां पे आज पोलिंग हुई 122 सीटों पर क्या फीडबैक मिला? आपके हिसाब से बीजेपी और जेडीयू अभी कहां खड़े?
नहीं, मैं तो खुद देख कर आया हूं। देखिए, मैंने खुद ही वोट किया है, निशान देख रहे होंगे आप। और मैं सुपौल में था, वहां से मैं पूर्णिया आया, तो सुपौल, अररिया, पूर्णिया क्रॉस किया। बीच में मैं कुछ लोगों से मिला भी हूं। एक जगह चाय पी मैंने जलालगढ़ में, वहाँ लोगों से पूछा। एक जगह और अररिया में रुका, फरविशगंज के पास। तो जिस तरह रिपोर्टर घूमते हैं, मैं तो रूट पे था क्योंकि मुझे जहाज़ पकड़ना था। तो मैंने चाय के बहाने रुककर पूछा, तो सब जगह एक तरफा पोल हो रहा था। और मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि कई लोग कह रहे हैं, कल भी मैंने आपसे बात की थी, जो परसेंटेज बढ़ रहा है, क्योंकि पहले जो वोटर थे जो डेथ कर गए थे या जिनके नाम 2 जगह थे, वो वोटर थे, तो वो अब नहीं है, तो जेन्युइन वोटर है, बोनाफाइड वोटर है। तो इसलिए वोट परसेंटेज ज़्यादा दिख रहा है, लेकिन ज़्यादातर लोग वोट कर रहे थे, अच्छा वोट कर रहे थे। और मैंने बहुत दिनों के बाद देखा कि लोग सरकार इतने साल से रहते हुए सरकार के पक्ष में वोट कर रहे थे। और हमने तो अपने बूथ पर भी किसी से नहीं पूछा, लेकिन लोगों ने कहा तीर है, नीतीश कुमार है। तो माहौल एक तरफा है। और देखिए, महागठबंधन तो कैंपेन में ही वो कहीं नहीं था। तेजस्वी यादव का आज मुझे मुकेश सहनी मिल गए थे हवाई जहाज़ में, तेजस्वी यादव के हेलीकॉप्टर के साथी। और उनसे मैंने पूछा कि आप कितनी सभा करते थे? तो उन्होंने कहा 15, 17, 18। तो मैंने कहा उसमें करते क्या थे? बोले बस हाथ उठाते थे, माइक पकड़ते थे, 2 लाइन बोलते थे, फिर चल देते थे। तो आप ये समझिए कि वो ऐसे बिहेव कर रहे थे जैसे वो कोई फिल्म स्टार हो, ऐसे ऐसे हाथ दिखाएंगे, लोग उनकी बात कर लेंगे। इन्होंने कोई बात नहीं रखी। एक दिन में 15 सभा कर ली, इनके यहाँ कैंपेन पूरी तरह
अरे आपके पास विशाल आर्मी है, उनके पास नहीं है, वो तेजस्वी अकेला है, तो उसके पास क्या ऑप्शन है? करनी पड़ेगी 15 सभा। आपके पास इतनी विशाल
अकेला
सेना है।
क्यों अब्दुल बारी माई समीकरण है तो एक हेलीकॉप्टर पे अब्दुल बारी सिद्दीकी क्यों नहीं है? क्या होता
Okay, let me put that question to Tariq Anwar, Member of Parliament from Katihar, joins us on this broadcast, senior leader of the Congress party. Tariq साहब,
तारिक अनवर साहब,
ये जो सारे एग्जिट पोल का डेटा आ रहा है, शाहनवाज जी कह रहे जहां उन्होंने रुक के चाय पी, वो तो और पता चल रहा है कि जेडीयू और बीजेपी की लहर है. If this is the way it ends on the 14th, this is not an ordinary victory. It's a massive sweep for the NDA if it turns out this way on the 14th. Where do you think the Gathbandhan went wrong, Tariq साहब?
मेरा ये मानना है कि एग्ज़िट पोल एग्जैक्ट पोल नहीं होता है. हम लोगों ने पहले भी कई बार देखा है कि एग्ज़िट पोल गलत साबित हुए हैं, लेकिन फिर भी मैं इसको एक इंडिकेशन मानता हूँ. और अगर ये एग्ज़िट पोल एग्जैक्ट पोल में अगर तब्दील होता है तो हमारे लिए चिंता का विषय है. और ऐसा लगता है कि तब हम कहीं ना कहीं जनता को कन्विंस करने में, उनको अपने साथ लेने में कामयाब नहीं हुए हैं.
पर क्यों कामयाब नहीं हुए? You know, it happened in Haryana, happened later in Maharashtra, now again in Bihar. Why do you think the opposition is repeatedly failing to best the NDA and to find a way of beating the Modi machine?
देखिए, अब वो तो अभी फ़ौरन कोई रिएक्शन देना मेरा ख्याल है मुनासिब नहीं होगा. और रिज़ल्ट आने के बाद उसका पूरा उसकी समीक्षा उसका हम लोग देखेंगे, कहाँ पर कमी रह गई, कहाँ महागठबंधन में जो हमारे कैंपेन था उसमें क्या कमज़ोरी रह गई. इन सब चीज़ों की समीक्षा होनी चाहिए और होगी, मुझे उम्मीद है. और हम देखेंगे अगर ये रिज़ल्ट में तब्दील हुआ तो. लेकिन अभी भी मुझे उम्मीद है कि
नीतीश जी को ही सीएम बनाएंगे या 14 आते आते नेताओं के स्वर थोड़े बदल जाएंगे इस सवाल पे?
नहीं कहा, हमने कभी कहा, अमित शाह जी ने खुद ही कहा कि मुख्यमंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री का पद खाली नहीं है, जनता मैंडेट देगी तो ज़रूर उनके नेतृत्व में सरकार बनेगी, जो प्रक्रिया है वो पूरी होगी. आपसे भी इंटरव्यू में कहा है. मैं तो मानता हूँ कि जो माहौल है, मैं बहुत दिन से कैंपेन करता हूँ राहुल जी, और मैंने कभी भी इतना बिखरा हुआ कैंपेन महागठबंधन का नहीं देखा. कभी ऐसा नहीं देखा कि वो आपस में सीटों पे लड़ रहे हैं, अपने सिटिंग एमएलए अपने सिटिंग मिनिस्टर का टिकट काट रहे हैं. और मैंने कई जगह देखा कि ये बेमन से चुनाव लड़ रहे थे. मुझे लग रहा है ये कांग्रेस और राजद में ये था कि एक दूसरे की पार्टी फिनिश करनी है, वो हमसे लड़ ही कहाँ रहे थे. तो पूरे कैंपेन में जैसे मैंने कहा, आपने एक लाइन कह दी कि उनके यहाँ तो तेजस्वी अकेला नेता है. महागठबंधन में तारिक अनवर साहब, शकील अहमद साहब, अब्दुल बारी सिद्दीकी, अगर आप माई समीकरण बात करते हैं तो ये बड़े बड़े एस्टेब्लिश लीडर हैं. लेकिन इन लोगों की भी कहाँ मीटिंग्स देखी मैंने. वो तेजस्वी यादव ने 2
साहब आपकी हुई कोई जॉइंट रैली तेजस्वी के साथ?
एक हेलीकॉप्टर
आप थे तेजस्वी के साथ मंच पर? वो कह रहे हैं शाहनवाज हुसैन करा तो लड़ा ही रहे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं कि आपका यूज नहीं किया उन्होंने ठीक से.
शाहनवाज साहब ठीक है, मैंने ज़्यादा समय अपनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में दिया, ये बात सही है. लेकिन कई जगह हम लोग साथ भी रहे, और तेजस्वी जी भी रहे, राहुल जी भी रहे, प्रियंका गांधी भी रही, सब लोग मंच शेयर किया है, ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं किया है. लेकिन अब जो इंडिकेशन है वो तो हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि उसमें हम लोगों को काफ़ी पीछे दिखाया जा रहा है. लेकिन फिर भी हमें उम्मीद है कि अगर हम लोगों ने इशू सही उठाया है, जो कि बेरोज़गारी का, भ्रष्टाचार का, पलायन का, गरीबी का, सब जो इश्यूज़ है ये बहुत हर इंसान को छूता है. और बिहार की जो दुर्दशा है वो तो सबके सामने है. लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी अगर एनडीए को समर्थन मिलता है या उनको सरकार बनाने की हैसियत दी जाती है, मौका दिया जाता है, तो ये बहुत.
Okay, Shahnawaz Hussain, thank you for joining us. He's not saying so, but Tariq Anwar seems almost resigned to his fate, virtually to the extent that
he came on the show thinking he had to make a stand, but he knew what was going to happen. He does not seem like he's arguing too much about the
No, because he also knows the reality on the ground. He's in Katihar, he's seen what's happening around him.
Yeah. He's not a happy bunny, no?
No, and also the fact that the point that Shahnawaz Hussain ji makes, that they simply couldn't get their campaign together.
Yeah.
At no point did it seem that there was a cogent, potent fighting machine trying to unseat the NDA from power.
Yeah. I also think they have another problem, which is there was a time when all psephologists used to talk about anti-incumbency. What you are now seeing is a phenomenon is pro-incumbency. It's becoming more and more difficult to dislodge governments, partly because...
Only if they are NDA governments. If they are opposition governments, like the Congress in Chhattisgarh, they got dislodged quite easily.
True. But the NDA generally, you could argue it's because of electoral factors, the election commission, as the Congress does. You could argue it's because of welfare schemes. You mentioned the 10,000 rupees, but whatever it is, if you are going to break out of that rut where the NDA wins every time, you have to be imaginative. You can't afford to fight with each other. You have to come up with something.
You have to fight like your life depends on it. You can't be fighting with each other.
Which clearly they didn't, no?
Yeah. No, and Rahul, the larger point, they always said that the BJP had made a science out of winning.
Yeah.
It has a huge electoral machinery, a very scientific way to organize the campaign. Now, many of those replicas are out of the shadows of the BJP. Many of them have run campaigns for the Congress.
Yeah.
Yet, why is the Congress not able to replicate the success of the BJP? That's point number one. Point number two, did Mr. Rahul Gandhi overplay his hand in trying to seek a larger share in the bargain with the RJD for seats, and therefore...
No, but because he didn't get more, he apparently got upset, and that's why he went abroad.
So effectively, he harmed the cause of the alliance. That's something congressmen should be answering for.
See, if you look at the coalitions, and this is true for many states, not just Bihar, but Bihar still really is a Lalu and Lalu's family versus Nitish fight at its core. The BJP adds value to Nitish. The Congress does not do anything for Tejaswi.
Which is what I said. It's 25% is too much to give the Congress.
Yeah.
Ravi Shankar Ravi joins us. He's a spokesperson of Tejaswi's party, the RJD. Ravi Shankar Ravi ji, तेजस्वी ने चॉपर तो खूब घुमाया, लेकिन जो डेटा आया है अभी तक उसके हिसाब से it's the NDA that's very comfortably placed to win. According to all the exit polls, they're all singing the same tune.
No, I mean, I do not agree with the exit polls.
He doesn't agree.
I think the plank on which this election was fought, it is the Mahagathbandhan which had set the plank, which was jobs, which was employment, which was situation of law and order. And Tejaswiji's appeal to the youth and his connect with the youth, particularly the first-time voters, I believe they have in our support and they have voted for us. And we are in a comfortable situation. And we will...
Jay Mrug has a question for you. Jay.
Mr. Ravi, I would actually like to allude to the larger coalition building abilities of the Congress itself. In the southern states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Tamil Nadu, where the Congress gracefully accepts a very, very junior partner position, even in terms of number of seats. In Kerala, where it gracefully gives out seats to its allies in spite of being a senior partner, the alliance meets with some success, a fair degree of success. Don't you think the Congress should now be showing the generosity in states like Bihar and UP to ensure the success of the UP and the Mahagathbandhan?
I think in any coalition, the coalition partners always try to, have more number of seats to fight in the elections. And this is what happened in Mahagathbandhan also in this election. And that is one of the reasons which was very evident that on a few seats there have been a friendly fight. And what Shahnawaz Hussain Sahab was saying, I think in any coalition there is infighting, and he was projecting the infighting of the NDA onto us, which was not evident in the public sphere because they could settle comfortably on the seats and there was no friendly fight for them. but there is always some kind of infighting, some kind of conflict, in formation.
The Gathbandhan have done something differently to try and change the outcome, or do you think just at the starting point the caste arithmetic was so favorable towards the NDA that the election in many ways was pre-decided?
So I had told Tejaswi this, that for him to win and go beyond the 35, one more caste will have to be added. One more, preferably an OBC caste would have to be added, and that wasn't just Mukesh Saini ji's caste, so that had to be added. Apart from that, I think what the Congress made one fundamental mistake in was this was too much of an attack on again the issues of the Constitution, the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and the Constitution were not the issues in the Bihar elections. I think the Congress's traditional vote bank, which it's lost, it has to try and get it back. Some of the upper caste, some of the Dalit vote banks, which has moved towards the BJP.
No, but this is a very important point, Veer, that Tehseen makes, that harping about the Constitution and issues of national significance in an assembly context, this is a local election. People want to know what is their MLA going to do for them. Is Rahul reading the script wrong?
No, I got the impression throughout the campaigns, I just said that in his mind he'd written Bihar off. He didn't care that much about what would happen. He would use it to make national points, which he hoped to resound with his...
Now, I want to go across to Manoj Singh. Manoj Singh is joining us now. He's from Matriz. It's one of the pollsters whose data we put out. So I want to welcome Manoj. Manoj, Aye, welcome. Let's show Manoj's data and then he can explain this to our viewers. So if you just stay a little on the side, leave some space in the middle. 147 to 167 is what Manoj is predicting for the NDA. The Gathbandhan at just between 70 and 90. So all the Gathbandhan parties together less than what the RJD got by itself last time, and Jan Swaraj just between 0 and 2. Basis क्या है आपके calculation का? How have you come to what looks like a sweeping mandate for the NDA?
इस बार का जो चुनाव है, ये चुनाव नीतीश वर्सेज महागठबंधन के ऊपर में है। महागठबंधन इसलिए कि जिस चीज़ को महागठबंधन ने लोगों के बीच में लेकर आया कि नीतीश के वो जो एज है, जो भूल रहे हैं, ये है, और वही उनके लिए हथियार साबित। कैसे कि महिलाएं जो कोर वोटर थी इनके महागठबंधन एनडीए की, उसमें महिलाओं का सबसे बड़ा योगदान है। और इस बार आप देख रहे हैं कि पोल में सबसे ज़्यादा किसी का उत्सुकता है तो महिलाओं का है। लंबी कतारें लगी हुई हैं, पोल चल रहे हैं और लोगों का इमेज खराब नहीं है। जैसे इन लोगों ने कहा कि हमें रोजगार देंगे, लेकिन देने वाला कौन है, उसका इमेज जनता के बीच में कैसा है, तो लोग सोचते हैं कि अरे ये तो लालू शासन वाली बात हो रही है।
नहीं, पर आपको लगा कि जो उनकी इतनी तबीयत नासाज है, जो तमाम कहानियां बिहार में, उसका कोई नेगेटिव नहीं इम्पैक्ट हुआ? आप कह रहे हैं कि बल्कि फायदा है।
हाँ, महिलाओं ने ये कहा कि ये मेरा समय है नीतीश का कर्ज उतारने का। चूंकि 4 इलेक्शन आप देखेंगे, रिजर्वेशन भी उन्होंने दिया महिलाओं को 50% निकाय चुनाव में, उन्होंने रिक्शा साइकिल भी दिया, महिलाओं को स्कूल ड्रेस दिया, ये किया, और अभी जाकर 10,000 रुपया दिया, और उन्होंने वादा भी किया कि मैं 2 लाख रुपये तक भी इसको सहायता के रूप में दूंगा। तो महिलाओं को लगा कि जो पहले से मुझे करता आ रहा है और जो ये बोल रहे हैं महागठबंधन के लोग बोल रहे हैं, तो वो 20 साल का शासन जो उनका था, जैसे अभी भी 60 साल का शासन कांग्रेस के लिए परेशान करता है, वो समझ नहीं पाता कि उससे कैसे छुटकारा पाए, वही महागठबंधन में था कि हम कैसे इनसे छुटकारा पाए। आप देखेंगे तेजस्वी के पूरे कैंपेन में लालू यादव के शासन का कोई वर्णन नहीं है। वर्णन कहाँ होता था? वो 18 महीना जो नीतीश के नेतृत्व में उन्होंने शासन किया था। तो यहाँ लोगों के अंदर विश्वास जो नीतीश के प्रति बना था, और तेजस्वी कभी भी आप देखेंगे बहुत एग्रेसिव नहीं हो पाए, उनके शासन को लेकर काउंटर नहीं कर पाए, तो यहाँ पे हुआ। और दूसरी राहुल
जन स्वराज का बताइए, कि जन स्वराज को आप दिखा रहे हैं 0 से 2, तो आपके हिसाब से कोई इंपैक्ट दिखा आपके पोल में कि नहीं?
मुझे लग रहा है कि यदि जन स्वराज इससे आगे बढ़ता तो एनडीए जो फोल्डर है वो काफी नीचे आता, क्योंकि इनके पास जो वोट आ रहा था वो फॉरवर्ड क्लास से आ रहा था। और मेरा मानना है कि ये जो रुकावट हुआ है कि फॉरवर्ड क्लास वोटर टूटकर महागठबंधन में नहीं गया है।
कैसे रुका? कैसे? क्योंकि बीच में पोल्स में लग रहा था कि बढ़ रहा है जन स्वराज, पीछे कैसे हुआ?
नहीं, वो उस समय जब नाराजगी दिख रही थी 6 महीना पीछे की, आप देखिएगा कि नीतीश को लेकर स्टेट में पूरी नाराजगी दिख रही थी। इसके बाद ये सारा हुआ था, और फॉरवर्ड क्लास के जो वोटर थे उनको लग रहा था कि अब नीतीश कुमार का शासन को समाप्त हो रहा है, और महिलाओं के लिए वैसा कुछ विशेष चीज नहीं दिख रहा था। इसी बीच उन्होंने लेकर 10,000 रुपये लेकर आए, आंगनबाड़ी केंद्र के महिलाओं को दिया, जो रसोइयाँ थी उनको उन्होंने, सारे ये चीज़ें जब होने लगे, डिलीवर होने लगा, तो लोगों के नीतीश के प्रति जो ये प्रभाव पड़ा, तो जो फॉरवर्ड क्लास वोटे जो जाकर जन स्वराज के पास बैठे थे वो धीरे धीरे वापस होता क्या है आप याद रखिए 2020 का उत्तर प्रदेश का इलेक्शन को याद रखिए कि ये बोला जाता था कि ब्राह्मण योगी आदित्यनाथ से नाराज है, लेकिन जैसे जैसे चुनाव नजदीक आता रहा वो ब्राह्मण एनडीए के फोल्डर में वापस आते।
Let's look at the Matri's vote share. It will give you a sense of how the seats are actually translating into votes. You're predicting 48% of the vote for the NDA, up from 37 originally and 42 in the current formation. Gathbandhan you're saying is 37, which is where they were. So the big story here is that you're essentially saying the Gathbandhan Jaimrig added no votes. That's what Manoj's data is saying. Gathbandhan was at 37, they're still at 37. NDA was at 42, they've gone up to 48 according to his poll.
Yeah, I would quite agree with those numbers. I go back to the experience in Maharashtra. After the very similar pattern, the women doles were doled out just before the assembly election. In Maharashtra, the NDA touched a peak of 49.3% votes. So 48 here looks absolutely plausible. Now the other point which I was making, PK as a safety valve, that 5% is something that PK has prevented from going to MGB. That would have been 42 to have made the contest much more closer.
No, but you can't assume that all 5% came
which
from
is
the
by and large
Gathbandhan.
the expectation, as he was saying, कि वो अधिकतर सवर्ण वोट था जो बीजेपी से छूट रहा था. So in a way, safety valve, but 48, 49, Madhya Pradesh again, 50 with the women dole schemes is the sort of number you can achieve.
This then, Kanchan Gupta, seems to be becoming a template. Transfer money either in monthly installments or in one big tranche to the women voters. It's worked in the last several elections and helps you win.
Well, you make it sound as if, somebody is gifting you money to vote for you.
It is.
It's not. Second. See, in our system, in our society, when a woman gets money into her, first of all, for her to have her own bank account, 2, to get money into that account, 3, to have control over that money. I mean, it empowers women like never before. I mean, you have to see how women react in Madhya Pradesh every time you have Shivraj Singh Chauhan going out into the public. I mean, similarly, you have to see people reacting in say Maharashtra now or in Bihar, as we have seen the numbers stacking up. And again, I repeat, you make it sound only as if they are voting for the money. No,
it's the whole package.
There are hidden factors.
No, of course.
Like
Veer Sanghvi, he's
water
right.
on the tap, I think plays a huge role. But the better public health indicators, they play a huge
No, but
role.
some of that, my argument is, some of that, Veer Sanghvi, gets factored in. You take it for granted once the water is there. This 10,000 rupees is like instant gratification, is that sugar rush. You get it and you feel happy, and it to some extent changes how you feel about the way you're placed right now.
I think you're right, Rahul. It is a new template. Every incumbent government before the elections will hand out something to women, to other people. Otherwise, people don't vote. If voters get used to that, there are consequences for Indian democracy and for Indian elections. But we've come a long way. If you look at Manmohan Singh's first term as finance minister, we thought his biggest contribution was the liberalization. As prime minister, his basic contribution was Narega. When they introduced Narega, if you remember, every opposition party, including the BJP, opposed it and said you're making people lazy, you're handing out things. Well, guess what? Everyone is now doing it.
Ashok Malik, you get voters used to this. It's a trap. It's a welfare trap, and there's no way out. And Bihar is the most impoverished state in the country.
Look, two things here. One, in a time of very poor job creation, not just in India but worldwide, the fact is parties are going to have to resort to welfare. Okay. Now,
this is what the PM said won't happen. He said he's opposed to reveries.
What welfare is justified and what welfare is not justified is a matter of subjectivity. I appreciate that. Okay, and different parties will disagree or agree. I would also say I agree with Kanchan that it's not that people take the money and immediately vote. Let's give people more credit. In the Karnataka election, the last Karnataka election, both parties, the opposition Congress and the incumbent BJP, promised cash transfers, promised welfare. Okay, but the BJP was still unseated because it was seen as perhaps crossing the threshold.
But Chetan, it's a trap. once Indian politics gets stuck in that chakravyuh, I don't know what the way out is.
See, it's two ways to look at it. One is, of course, it is a race to the bottom. It's fiscal irresponsibility. But at the same time, India is growing 6-8% and it's not trickling down properly. You know, there are some segments which have made a lot of money, done very well. And that's not just the super elite. 5-10% of the population has seen a lot of, and they really like this government for that. But there's a lot of India which gets left out in the growth, and this is one way we...
Let's take a look at the gender breakup, because this, I think, is one of the important things that comes out of the matriz data. The skew towards the NDA, the overwhelming, unquestionable skew in his data, 52% of the men said they voted NDA, 65%. But just basic maths, if your vote share is 48 and men is 52, women is 65, the vote share should actually be much more. At a base it should be 52, it should be actually 58, 59. आपने मैथ्स की कैसे?
अब उस पे आते हैं. देखिए जो 52% है,
अगर 52% पुरुष और 65% महिलाएं बोल रही कि एनडीए को दिया, तो आपका 59% वोट शेयर हुआ, तो 48 कैसे हुआ?
फिर आप ध्यान दीजिए, ये विमेंस वोट में कैसे वोट शेयर हुआ है. आप इसके साथ मैच कराएंगे तो हमेशा 100 से ऊपर चला जाएगा. मैं क्या दिया हूँ, वीमेन का वोट कितना है, उसमें एनडीए को कितना आया है. मुझे लग रहा था आप यहाँ गड़बड़.
मनोज जी, राहुल कह रहे हैं
52 is the base. Let's assume they are men and women. 52 is the base. So whatever is the average vote share, then has to be above 52. How is the average vote share 48? Basic maths.
एक्चुअली मैच का ये परसेंटेज है कि जो 52% ये दे रहे 52% और 36% इनके गठबंधन के साथ जा रहे हैं. इसमें महिलाओं का वोट यदि नहीं मिलता तो जितने मार्जिनल सीट इनके साथ फंस रही थी, 52 के बाद भी मार्जिनल सीट बनी थी, तो वो चीजें डिफाइन नहीं कर पाए.
जय मृग हैज अ क्वेश्चन फॉर यू. जय,
नहीं, मैं केवल मनोज जी राहुल के सवाल को आगे लेके जा रहा हूँ. राहुल के सवाल को मैं बहुत साधारण तरीके से बताता हूँ. अगर 100 पुरुष थे, उसमें से 52 ने कहा हम एनडीए को वोट दें, और 100 महिलाएं थी, उसमें से 65 ने कहा हम एनडीए को वोट दें, तो दोनों का औसत कहीं ना कहीं 58 होना चाहिए. तो राहुल का ये कहना है कि वो 58 वोट शेयर होना चाहिए.
वोट परसेंटेज एक विधानसभा से नहीं आता है. जहां बड़ी मार्जिनल सीटें होती हैं वहां जो पोल होता है उसके साथ ये परसेंटेज.
I'll just explain to our viewers what I think has happened without getting lost in technicalities. This is the raw vote share that he's picked up in his sample. Then he's factored it down basis the various calculations that have been put in to actually come at the 48% vote share. Anyway, it's his numbers. There's no point in us getting geeky about it. But statistically, there's an argument which we can have off air if you're interested. Right now, this is not the opportunity. Let me look at the matriz caste data. Here again, an important argument comes out. 69% of general upper caste voting for the NDA. Gadbandhan only 15%. 78% of the Muslims voting for the Gadbandhan. ये आपको लगता है कि एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर था कि तेजस्वी को, राहुल गांधी को लग रहा था कि दलित बड़ी संख्या में वोट देंगे. वो एक्चुअली ज्यादा वोट तो एनडीए को पड़ा है.
ये दो कारण हुआ. एक तो जैसे इनका अपना तालमेल मुकेश सहनी को लेकर, जीतन मांझी को लेकर, और इधर तेजस्वी को इनको लेकर, तेज प्रताप को एलजेपी को लेकर जो ये इनका समीकरण बना था, उसके कारण से ये सारी चीजें हुई थी कि शेड्यूल कास्ट इनके. और दूसरा जो इन्होंने नीचे स्तर पे जो नीतीश जी ने सेंट्रल की जो पॉलिसी थी उसको उन्होंने डिलीवर किया है. और वहां पे आकर महागठबंधन में देखेंगे कि जिस तरीके से मुकेश सहनी को लेकर काफी विरोधाभास रहा, जिस तरीके से उन्होंने प्रेशर पॉलिटिक्स किया, तो कहीं ना कहीं लोगों को लगा कि ये यहीं तक सीमित है. जैसे आप जाएंगे तो मांझी जो है 6 सीट पे लड़ रहे हैं, उनका परफॉर्मेंस देखेंगे तो 4 सीटों जीते. मुझसे पूछिएगा तो मैं मानूंगा कि एनडीए फोल्डर में सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्राइक रेट किसी का इस बार बेटर होगा तो जीतन मांझी जी का होगा. और तेजस्वी इनका क्या कहा जाता है, एलजेपी का परफॉर्मेंस 29 सीटों पर लड़ने के बाद भी उनका परफॉर्मेंस कम हो रहा है. तो उनके गठबंधन में सबसे लो
29 सीट. But all right, thank you Manoj for joining us. I just want a quick final round of word from all our guests before we wrap up. I'll start with Kanchan Gupta. What would you look out for the most on the 14th? What do you think is the one factor which could change between now and then?
A massive Muslim consolidation. If that were to happen in a sufficient number of seats over and above which would have otherwise gone to Mahagathbandhan, then that would change the situation quite a lot. But as was pointed out, you can't have multiple polls giving the same direction. Now, it's a question of numbers. The numbers may change, the numbers may go up, go down, come down. But I somehow sense, having seen so many polls in my life, this trend is going to hold unless there is, as I said, there's a huge upset that the Muslim consolidation is so big in seats over and above which Mahagathbandhan was expected to win, and then that propels it
Okay,
upwards.
Ashok Malik, what would you be looking out for most on the 14th?
What could change, plausibly what could change from these? I would say perhaps Prashant Kishor is being undercounted. That's one factor. If he is being undercounted indeed, and if he is hurting the NDA, then that could change things. I think the consolidation of Muslims and Yadavs behind the RJD is complete anyway. The question is, can they add a third community? From this, we're not seeing any third sizable community being added.
Chetan?
I think NDA could win very big because the vote shares that are being said, predicting seats are very difficult on exit polls. If the vote share is what it is, NDA could win very big. However, the only thing is sometimes people lie in exit polls. A lot of times people come out and people lie. Like, I don't know if Muslims will say the correct where they voted to a guy who's there. I don't know if that kind of trust exists in Bihar. So you could have a situation where all these polls face the same problem. People don't
we'll hold that analysis from the opposition's lens. Tehseen, what would they be looking out for or hoping for the 14th?
Two things that the Yadav Muslim consolidation has added some layer of the Dalits, because if the Paswan vote is added with Nitish Ji and the EBC vote, there would be other sections of Dalit communities that would ideally like to come with the Congress, Mahagathbandhan and the RJD. The second thing, the Congress has been able to pull some of its traditional upper caste vote into the Mahagathbandhan, as a result of which that 37% suddenly becomes about 41%, and BJP's 48%, the NDA's, has come down to about 45-46%. And then, as Kanchan said, the conversion of seats, because the Muslims have consolidated, then adds up in favor of the Congress Mahagathbandhan. But that is too many ifs happening in an election, which seems difficult.
I would very seriously want to study the geographical reconfiguration of constituencies with Election Commission data and see where exactly did gender play a role, and where did the EBC communities play a role this time. Because OBCs, I think,
from a psephological lens on the 14th, what would you look out for? What would you be telling viewers to look out for?
Three specific deviations, if they happen, might alter this result. First, the performance of the MGB in the riverine belt, where the Malla vote is there in substantial numbers. Two, as he rightly pointed out, the substantially high turnout in the Simachal belt. And three, if we've gone through the candidate list, there are a lot of former Jansangis that the Jan Swaraj has fielded. I'm really curious to know how they perform. So that's another X factor for me.
Some of those Jansangis were brought back to the BJP fold as well. They worked very hard on it. We're out of time. I want to get a final word from Ajit Jha on, after having travelled, written as much as you have, what would you want viewers to look out for on the fold?
Look at the percentage swing. Last time, 0.3% Mahagathbandhan had lost. This time, the poll that we saw, 11%. That is a massive swing for an incumbent after 20 years, which, as I was trying to make the point, this is a clear-cut wave election.
37 doesn't have LJP. If you add LJP, then the starting point is 42, but it's still a 6% swing, which is big. Yes, Veer Sanghvi, final words. What would you look out for the most on the 14th?
I think this trend is pretty hard to defeat. It looks quite clear. However, I think exit polls often are poor at picking up regional variations because they pick few constituencies. There are also these polls. I'm not sure how much they've got of today's voting. I suspect it happened too early for them when they came up with the results too early to count on it.
Which is why you need to come back to NDTV tomorrow. We'll have the Access My India, the C-Voter and the Vote Wipe data.
I don't think it'll be very different, but I think it's worth discussing.
If you like your politics, it's always worth discussing. And the thing about Bihar is, they never get tired discussing politics. You can be at it the whole day till the evening. They'll keep talking about their politics, as will we when we come back with part 2 of the post-poll study. Thank you so much for joining us in our new election studio. It's been terrific to have you with us, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.